Hello, this is Michael Diamond. I'm here with Ricky T. Anthony, and you're watching Muscle Central. Okay, Ricky, we just finished the 2018 Arnold Classic, 212 and
Sir,
Open. What did you think? Let's get right into the 212. What did you think about this?
I thought the 212 was very, very interesting because I'm the type of guy that thinks, okay, you know what? I'm a sports guy. Yes, let's use the NFL. When you have top dogs running the game for a long time, I eventually want to see a changing of the guard. And I think that that's what we saw here with the 212. So, what do you have to say on it?
What did you think? Did you agree with the placings?
Okay, well, you know what? Um, like we discussed, Guy had problems coming in. So, I mean, I had faith in Guy. He's my guy. Excuse the pun. But, okay, Guy at sixth, Jose Raymond at fifth. He didn't have the conditioning he normally brings to me. And when people say conditioning wins shows, I have an argument there because structure plays a lot. I never thought that Jose Raymond had a great structure. That's just me. I never liked it. I'm not a fan. Just like I wasn't a fan of you know what? I'll get back to him later because he's retired. But I like structure. I like flow. I'm a Lee Haney type of guy with a Rich Gaspari type of conditioning. So Jose and David Henry weren't on top of their game. Kamal winning, his conditioning was insane, but I could just say there was some buts.
All right, let me get
But I
right
like
in.
the fact
Let me get right into
I like
this.
the fact that Charles Dixon showed improved, and then Samir Trout. I like that.
All right,
And you said a lot of good things about Samir Trout. So
okay. As far as Kamal Gardner, I'll give him this much. He was by far the best conditioned athlete on stage. And I know many times they say conditioning wins the show, but
right,
conditioning, if you're weak in numerous body parts, it's a totally different story. From the front, I thought he looked terrific. Without a doubt, he looked great from the front. But once you started turning to the side and to the back, the weaknesses became visible. I thought
okay,
he needed more triceps. I think his shoulders and his biceps overpowered his triceps. He needed more triceps. He was definitely weak in the hamstrings. And
okay,
once you turned to the back, there was no back thickness. Listen, before you go any further, Ricky, I'd like you just to scoot over to your left just a drop so we can see you. Perfect. Okay, back to it, and back to what I was saying. And the back, there
mm,
was no back thickness. Granted, he's a new pro, but he's a seasoned competitor. He's 46 years old, and the only reason why he's a new pro, he stayed competing at the amateur because the country where he came from was paying him good money to win the amateur shows.
agreed,
Okay,
agreed.
now, like I said, conditioning was right on the money, but there was some glaring weaknesses from the side and from the back, and I had a big
Okay,
problem with him placing first place. And
okay.
and it's
Let
not
me ask you this: who would you have seen in first place?
who would I have first.
Yes.
Okay, let me just get to this also. I normally I'm very excited about the 212s because we expect to see with the 212s great conditioning from all across the board from all the competitors. And the truth of the matter was, I don't think anybody showed up with the type of conditioning that we normally expect from the 212s. The prejudging, I think, was less than stellar. I'll give them all credit. They all came back for the evening show in better conditioning than they did for the prejudging. Also,
Agreed.
let me just make a mention about Charles Dixon with the prejudging. I don't know how they could have scored him when he turned around to the back when we were judging his back. I don't know whether it was sweat or too much oil, but there was such a shine off his back from the lights, you couldn't even see his back. His whole back was washed out. All right,
Okay.
going back to my pick. When all is said and done, I think the most complete package. Although his conditioning wasn't the greatest, but I think it was good enough, and he had nice muscle bellies and nice flow. Was Samir Trouty.
Okay.
I would put him at first place. What do you think about that?
Um, for me, it's debatable, but I can understand where you're coming from. But like I said before, I like the fact that the new guard is coming in and getting the old guard on their toes because Guy's a veteran, Jose is an uber veteran, David Henry is an uber veteran, and well, Charles Dixon's been around, but he's just like now coming of age.
Yeah,
So I think, yeah,
yeah.
I love these. I love the new guard. Um, I can't complain too much with the placements because my three guys that I told you they were a little off. So it is what it is.
Now let's get into the second and third. I'm a little up on the air. First, let's mention Jose Raymond. I like Jose Raymond. I've been following Jose Raymond since he was a welterweight in the NPC, which is we're going back 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Jose, one thing about Jose is he doesn't have what we call a pretty physique to look at. His thing is coming in with that grainy, gnarly, hard conditioning, and it just wasn't
Yeah.
there, unfortunately.
Exactly.
Second and third, I'm up in the air on this. Charles Dixon, when he came back in the evening, he definitely looked much better. I thought he was smooth for the prejudging. I thought he looked much better in the evening, but I also like David Henry. David Henry, his problem has always been his legs. His upper body is not that his legs are bad. It's just that his upper body overpowers his legs. He
Yes.
wasn't his best conditioning, but I think his conditioning was good enough. It's a toss up. I would lean towards David Henry for second and Charles Dixon third. But if you switch that up, Dixon second and Henry third, I wouldn't have any problem with it.
Okay. Fair enough. Now, I would like to touch on the classic physique real quick, if you don't mind. Now, I heard people had issue with Breon Ansley winning the show, but my thing is this: when we talk about structure versus conditioning, Breon Ansley has a great structure, great muscle bellies, clavicles, small waist. His flow is nice. It's beautiful.
All right.
And the fact that they raised the amount of weight that you can have for each height class, I think he had a problem nailing his conditioning by putting on the extra weight because he's obviously bigger. His muscles look fuller.
Okay.
I think he was a slight bit off, but not enough for people
Okay.
to discredit his winning the show.
I,
Arash Bar will be forever nipping at his heels.
uh,
If Breon sleeps and, like they say, like the rabbit on that head of lettuce, the fox will catch him.
All right.
And Arash Rabar is bringing it, and he's improving every show.
I think we should hold that off for another video because I really want to finish up with the
Okay.
212s and get into the Open.
Okay, let's go back.
But I agree. I definitely agree with you on what you said over there. Back to the 212.
Okay.
Who do you have for second and third?
Like I said, for me, the 212s was very convoluted because, like I said, Kamal had the great conditioning. Dixon, because of the oil, it made him look watery from the back, so to speak. Samir Trouty, I like the package he brought. So I would go Samir Trouty in second, Dixon in third. And I would have to leave David Henry in fourth because his conditioning looked better than Jose Raymond. And I'd have to leave Jose Raymond in fifth and Guy in sixth.
Okay, like I said, I put Samir Trout. Actually, I'm not sure if he pronounces it Trouty or Trudy. Samir Trouty.
Right.
I had him at first. I can go either way with. I prefer David Henry over Dixon, but I have no problem either way. Second and third. Fourth, we got Jose Raymond and. Kamal El-Gadi, once again, he looked good from the front and his conditioning was great. But I just think there were too many weaknesses that he displayed from the side and from the back. Even though Jose Raymond was far from his best, I think plain and simple, his muscularity out-muscled Kamal's conditioning. I go Jose Raymond fourth, Kamal El-Gadi fifth, and Guy Sistanino sixth. One thing let me say about Guy Sistanino, I heard that he really wasn't fully committed for this competition until a few weeks before the show. Also, I think Guy Sistanino is a little bit stuck between a rock and a hard place. Let me explain. Okay, he's a little bit taller than the rest of these guys. And I think for him to make the 212s, he has to diet down that much more. And with his height, he always appears to be a little smaller in muscle size than the rest of the guys. Excuse me. And to go up into the Open, I don't think he has enough size, enough height, and big enough body structure to go into the Open. So what do? Do you go into the Open and be the smallest guy out there, or do you stay in the 212s and come in with the conditioning but lack the muscle size? Now, I like Guy Sistanino a lot, and he's probably the hardest working guy out there. You can't knock him for that, but it's not his fault with his height and his structure. He's maybe a little too tall for 212s, but a little too small for the Open.
Classic physique.
Who knows? Okay, let's get right into the Open now. I think my revised predictions on the Open were pretty much on the money over there. What do you think?
Yeah, yes, you did. You did pretty good, and my hat's off to you. Except for, I'm gonna throw this out there because they didn't make the top 6. The big bad wolf. I told you.
Okay, well, you know what? I'll tell you. I wouldn't count them out though. I think another year of training, he can. His conditioning was on the money. His conditioning
was good. But if you look at the history, when you had guys like Victor Martinez, he was out for his immigration issue, and then he got hurt coming back, and he was a shell of his former self until he took a couple of years to get back together. So when you have guys out for like 2-3 years, whatever the case may be, I won't bank on them. Well, they'll be sentimental favorites, but it is what it is.
I think you got to give Wolf this much credit. He definitely did. He actually looked like he put on 5 to 10 pounds by the time the night show came around as compared to
Yeah.
prejudging. He definitely filled out a lot.
Yes.
And I think given if he takes more time off and concentrates on qualifying for the Olympia in an early show next year, I think we can have a whole different story with him. Okay, let's get
Yes.
back. Let's go to the placings. William Bonac, Dexter Jackson battle it out for first and second. What do you think? Would placings accurate?
I think it was dead on. William Bonac was well deserved, and but I will say this: when I first saw William Bonac was a few Olympics ago. I think it was the 2014 when he first moved up from 212, and I said, if this guy can keep that small waist and keep his muscle and put on about 10 pounds, 15 pounds, he'll be a killer.
Well,
And he has done that.
it was 20.
Though I will say this, he is on the edge of losing that waist. Willie, if you're hearing me, if anybody sends this to William Bonac, get that tight, keep that tightness in your waist. You're on the verge of spillover. Keep that tightness. You're the man. You're doing great. Just bring that condition into those big muscle bellies. I loved it.
It was actually 2015 when he excuse
when he
me.
moved up, right?
It was 2015 when he cracked the top 10 when he came in 10th place, and then he came back in 2016, and I don't think anybody really expected him, or most people didn't expect him to move up the way he did, and then came in 5th place, and then he just really nailed it with this 3rd place in 2017, and I think he definitely should have had 2nd place rather than 3rd, and he was definitely a challenge for 1st place against Heath. And I personally had him first. For this show, I think he nailed it. Once again, his conditioning was right on the money. He's one of those few athletes that have that special quality. Dexter Jackson has it, and I don't like Phil Heath, but I'll give him credit. He has it also. That 3D look when they hit the shots, his body just pops. When he turns,
because with Dexter Jackson,
and when he
like if we talk about
when Bonac
sorry, go ahead.
when Bonac turned to the side, man, those hamstrings. It looks like he has slabs of meat just slap right onto him. It was unbelievable. And turn to the back. I mean, any way you look at this guy, from top to bottom, front, side, back,
he was unbeatable.
He has it.
He was unbeatable.
I think he had a little bit of a battle with Dexter. When they turned to the back, I think there was really more of a battle. From the waist up, Dexter might have had him. From the waist up, there was a little more detail in his back, and he was a little wider, but it was close. But from the waist down, once again, the hamstrings, the separation, the detail in the hamstrings, the separation from the hamstrings to the glutes. The guy, he was just spot on, and it was well deserved.
Yes.
Let me ask you one thing about Dexter. I think there was I wouldn't call it a bubble gut by any means, but it did look like he had a little bit hanging on the lower part of his abdominals.
He had a little bloat, and I agree with you. That's what I was going to cut in with. Dexter had a little bit of a bloat in his stomach, but again, his conditioning. Dexter. I've said it before, Mr. Consistency, like Sean Ray always came in within a couple of percentage points of their best. And when Dexter's on, it's up to the other guys, not to show up. And to me, that's why Dexter got 2nd place. Because, like we said, Cedric, inconsistent. But when he's on, he's on. And I was banking on Cedric to come in better condition. But Cedric was a little bit off. I saw he was a little bit watery in the lower back, in the hams, but Cedric brought a very good package.
I think he needs to
So,
rely on Chris Aceto's guidance. I think he will do much better with Chris Aceto's guidance. Sometimes you need an outside eye looking in to critique you and help you along the way. It's
or
it's better.
or maybe this, or maybe this. Not a knock against Chris Aceto because Chris is one of the best coaches in the game. But Dave Palumbo always says something on his channel. Not every coach fits every athlete.
Okay.
He might, because he's been working with him for a while, he might need to change coaches just to see what they can do with him. If they can squeeze that little extra out that maybe Chris can't. Not it's not like I said, it's not a knock against Chris. I respect
Yeah,
Chris
I agree.
I think
Not
he's one of the greatest in the game.
that could be. Yeah, you could be very right on that one. Okay, let's go to third and fourth. I was jumping back and forth. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I definitely had Dexter. Excuse me, Cedric and Ruley, one or the other, third and fourth. I was
Right.
worried about Cedric's conditioning, and that if he slipped a little too much with the conditioning, that Ruley would outmuscle him. But his conditioning wasn't as good as it could have been, but it wasn't.
Exactly.
But
Yes.
it definitely was much better than he brought to the 2017 Mr. Olympia, and I think physique wise, he's just so dominating with size, structure, and flow. Because conditioning was enough. I think he deserved third place. Ruley Winkler, the freak that he is, gets bigger and bigger, and his conditioning was about the best that it's. The day show, the prejudging, not as much, but by the time the nighttime came for the rejudging and the finals, I think his conditioning was a lot better and a well-deserved fourth place.
I agree. Now I picked him to like battle with William Bonac, but his conditioning was slightly off. He has the freak muscle to outmuscle even guys, dare I say, almost twice his size. He can do it. I like that he kept his midsection under control. He kept it under control.
Definitely did.
And so
Definitely
his
did.
muscles, so it really made his muscles pop. But his conditioning was off. I think it could have been a toss up between him and Cedric. You know what? Ruley Winkler, a well deserved fourth place.
Now I want to give props to Steve Kuklo. Now
I was just about to say that.
I was saying this. The
Go
guy,
ahead.
he has good structure in his body. His problem has always been his conditioning. Going by the progress pics leading up to the show, it looked like he was gonna pretty much nail his conditioning, or at least come in a lot better than he has over the last few years. And he brought it. He looked pretty good in the prejudging, and he definitely looked sharper in the finals. And I'll tell you this: when he came out and he starts posing, he's looking good, and you can see his conditioning improving as he was posing, as he was going through hitting the poses, going through the comparisons. You can see his conditioning improving, and I think he got a well-deserved fifth place.
Yes, I agree with that. We said he was kind of one of those dark horse guys, and he proved it. He got up there, he cracked the top five. Hats off to Steve. He's finally coming around. And let me go directly to number 6, because we did say Lionel Baiki could be a shock factor in this show. And
he was a dark horse.
Broke the top 6, and let me give a respectable shout out to hold on one second. To Max Charles. Max Charles, to me, I just want to give a shout out. He is better than I've ever seen him. And like I said with the football analogy before, with the changing of the guard, these guys are going to be the guys stepping at the heels of the top
I
guys.
like Max Charles, and I was disappointed a little bit because he's a, he's known to come in with better conditioning than he did for the show. I just think it looked a
Right.
little smooth all around. I don't know what was going on with him, but I just I was a little disappointed with that. Going back to lineup by Iki, uh, he was in the first call out. Looked like he was going to be in the top six, but
Yeah.
look what happened when they put the guys back in the lineup and I called out the next group. They ended up calling Baiki back in again.
Right.
He wasn't a lock in for the top six. He
Right.
wasn't a lock in.
But what that was, okay, they measured him against the next group of guys, and then they said, you know what, Lionel, you can leave. You made it. You can leave. And then they measured the next group of guys. And I thought that was great. I like the fact that they brought everybody out in numerical order first, and then they did the switch around and measured against the best competitors. I thought that was beautiful. It gave everybody a fair shot. I think this was a great show. This was one of the better Arnolds that I've seen in a while,
Okay,
men and women.
before we wrap this one up, I just want to look a little bit into the future. First, let me say, unfortunately, Sean Roden, I forget exactly there was some sort of internal problems with his intestines. I
Yes,
don't know,
intestines, right.
an intestinal virus. I'm not sure what it was, but he had to pull out, which was unfortunate. So we didn't have Roden in this show, and we didn't see Mamdou Elsbey, Big Ramy in the show either. Looking forward into the 2018 Mr. Olympia. Who's Phil Heath's biggest threat going in?
Steaming Willie Beeman Bonac. Hands down. Steaming. If he brings it like he did, just get the conditioner a little tighter. Steaming Willie Beeman Bonac. That's my boy right there. I'm riding with that.
Yeah, like I said before, I thought he should have had second in last year's Olympia, and I personally liked him. I think it was questionable whether Phil Heath had him on that one. It was close, and I think he definitely gave Heath a battle. Let me tell you something. He's short in stature,
Right.
which is hurting him a little when it actually shouldn't. But let me say this: if this guy can manage to put on 4 to 5 pounds of
No.
more muscle and hold his conditioning, nobody's going to beat him at all. I guarantee you.
I wouldn't even say put on more muscle. Just bring your conditioning and keep that waist tight. And I will say this, because they have all these different classes now, he is the new giant killer.
Well, you know what?
Because of his size, he's the new giant killer.
The only place I would knock Monak is, and it's not his fault. It's purely genetics. He has a short torso. Kai Green has the same problem. He has a short torso, and it makes his midsection look a little blocky. If he can just bring out the shoulders just a little more, and the upper back just a little bit more, he definitely has enough quad sweep. A little more width in the upper back and a slight more width in the shoulders, and with that quad sweep that he has, it would totally negate that short, blocky torso. But even still, the guy is just phenomenal. He brings a tremendous package, and he looks like he gets better every show.
Yes. It looks like the anabolic chicken does work.
Yeah. Okay, that's a wrap of Mrs. Michael Diamond, Ricky T. Anthony, signing out from Muscle Central. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, share, and most definitely subscribe. And we'll be seeing you again soon. Good night, folks.